What's going on, guys, and welcome to another Doctor Who classic review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the fourth Doctor Tom Baker story, The Creature from the Pit. This is another episode that I haven't really heard anything about. It's not an episode that really gets talked about at all, apart from one scene, which I'm sure if you have seen this episode or if you just know of Doctor Who memes and silly stuff, you'll know which scene I'm talking about, but we'll get to that later. Other than that, though, didn't know anything about this story. It doesn't seem to get talked about other than that part at all. So I was, not really sure what to expect going into this one. Looking at some other people's reviews and things, it doesn't seem to be the most highly regarded story ever, but yeah, I was open-minded going into it. But anyway, this is The Creature from the Pit by David Fisher. Making a forced materialization on Chloris, the Doctor, Romana, and K9 become embroiled in the political machinations of its ruler, the Lady Adrasta. The lush vegetation of the planet's surface hides a ragtag group of bandits, a giant eggshell, man-eating wolfweeds, and within the depths of an old mining pit, something very large has a terrible secret which threatens the destruction of Chloris itself. So once again, a fairly brief kind of synopsis on the back of the DVD there. But yeah, it's an interesting premise. Vegetation planet, a very lush planet, which is always nice to see in Doctor Who. Planets like that, I'm thinking of things like which Dalek? Planet of the Daleks, is it? I think the third Doctor story. And also I'm thinking like Planet of Evil. A lot of stories with planet in the title, apparently. Those kind of lush planets are always interesting and usually look pretty good actually in classic Doctor Who. And I would say that in this case that is the case here as well. Looks pretty nice for the time, and yeah, a lot of cool stuff going on. So let's get into it with the cast. Tom Baker as the fourth Doctor. Tom is really good in this story. Now, I always thought that season 17 was kind of when he was losing interest. Maybe it was more just season 18 where Tom is really off, because it's been a while since I've watched the other stories in this season. I've now watched every story from season 17 apart from Shada, but you almost can't even really count that. But yeah, I don't actually think he's that, well, he's not bad at all. He's not uninterested. He has some funny stuff here. There is still quite a bit of funny stuff going on. I think it was more season 18 onwards where they kind of got rid of some of the funny stuff and went more serious, and it just didn't really work for Tom. But here, yeah, he has the funny moments, he has the serious moments. He's just really, really good in this one. It's honestly one of my favorite performances from him. I just think he's great in this episode. Lalla Ward as Romana is also really good here. She gets a decent amount to do. Bit with K9, she's off on her own for quite a bit as well, because she gets taken by the bandits, and very much, shows up as the leader, and really shows her authority when she's with those bandits as well after being captured. So I think that's really good from Romana and from actress Lalla Ward. So all good there as well. David Brierley as K9. I am going to mention him because this is the only other K9 voice actor. It's usually, I can't remember his name, but it's usually someone else. It was just for this season, I believe, where, or maybe next season as well, actually. So the rest of the classic series, pretty much, that, yeah, the normal actor for K9 wasn't available, and this guy took over. And yeah, I'll be honest, not great. I don't like this K9. They apparently did something, it's in one of the earlier stories of the season, saying that K9 apparently has laryngitis or something. That's why his voice is different. But yeah, his voice just does not sound robotic doggy enough, and I don't know, it's just a really annoying voice. That's the one thing I don't like about this season, and a thing that I don't like about this episode is K9. He gets a bit to do in this episode. He has a bit to do, which is good. But yeah, just the voice actor it just doesn't work for K9. Right, so let's get on to some points about this episode. These grass ball creatures attack the Doctor. So we have these grass ball things, which are a bit of a weird creature. They're literally like mossy grass balls that a guy kind of controls with, like, he uses a whip, and when he whips, they kind of go and they move and attack people, and they're very strange things. Yeah, not one of the better monsters of this story, I will be honest, and it does look pretty ridiculous when the Doctor is getting attacked by them. Romana goes from being held captive by the bandits to basically being in charge of them. So I really like that when she gets taken away, the bandits take her, but then she kind of she becomes the leader. She really takes charge. And it's one thing that I really like about Romana. It's definitely different from other companions. You know, she is a Time Lord, a Time Lady, just like the Doctor. And, you know, that the authority that she has and the smarts that she has is very different to a lot of other companions that we have had up until this point and we would have later on. So it's really good to see her take charge and not really be afraid like a lot of other companions would be. It's just, yeah, really good stuff. People are thrown into the pit when they've disobeyed the people of Chloris. So, yeah, you've got this woman, Lady, what was her name? Lady Adrasta, who is kind of the leader of this group of people on the planet Chloris. And I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Chloris, Chloris. I'm just going to call it Chloris. So sorry if that's wrong. But yeah, she's kind of the leader, and anybody that kind of disobeys her or doesn't do as good as, you know, doesn't do their job as well as she wants them to, they get thrown into this pit, which nobody really knows what's down there other than her. And yeah, basically get thrown in there to die. And it starts off the episode, a guy gets thrown in there. We don't really know what that's for. But then later on, somebody gets thrown in there because they're trying to, I can't remember what it was now. They're trying to figure I think it was to do with that egg, like this egg that's kind of alive and they don't know what it is. And the Doctor comes out with all this other information and, you know, basically figures out what it is. And then she throws the engineer or whatever he was, I don't even know, she throws him into the pit because he didn't do a good enough job. He didn't figure out what the Doctor figured out. So you're now useless to me, so you get thrown in the pit. The Doctor finds the creature in the pit along with Argonon. So yeah, the Doctor eventually goes down into the pit in dramatic style and finds the creature down there, the big blobby creature, which we'll get onto. And he also finds a man, Argonon, who is this kind of fortune teller, I think. He's supposed to, you know, tell you what's going to happen in the world and all this sort of stuff, you know, what's going to happen in your life. And yeah, finds him down there. Basically, he got put down there because he's like a professor, isn't he? He's like a prophet. And he gave Lady Adastra a vision, a thought of something that was going to happen that she didn't agree with, so she threw him down the pit. That's basically why he's down there, but he hasn't died. He has survived the creature down there, and he meets up with the Doctor, and he's a pretty integral part of this story. Chloris has a metal shortage, and what metal there is owned by Lady Adrasta. So that's the big thing with this. This planet does not have a lot of metal. There is only one mine on the planet where they mine for metal. That is where this pit is, where the creature is. The mine is owned by Lady Adrasta. She and all her people keep all the metal, and it means that it's really scarce for everybody else on the planet. We only really see the bandits being the other kind of civilization on this planet, but it's really difficult for them to get any metal, and without the metal they don't have any wealth, they can't make tools, and they basically struggle to survive. So yeah, she's hogging all this stuff, and everybody else is, you know, they don't have the money, they don't have anything to get metal, to make tools, to, you know, to survive properly, to be honest. The Doctor trying to communicate with the creature, and that scene. So we finally got to it. The scene that I'm sure you've all been waiting for me to talk about. The infamous, let's just say and yeah, vulgar warning here. It's basically a fellatio scene. I mean, it's not in the context of the episode, but when you look at the scene without context of the episode, it does look like that. Basically, it's a really funny scene actually, where the Doctor's trying to figure out how to communicate with this creature. You know, he's trying to talk to it, trying to say, you know, I'm friendly, I'm not going to hurt you, but the creature cannot seem to talk to him, and he's trying to figure out, how do I talk to this thing? He tries a few different things. Then he grabs its kind of appendage that's coming off its lower body of this blobby creature thing, and kind of starts talking into the appendage and literally blowing a couple of times. I mean, you hear him like blowing on it and then like trying to talk into it. And I mean, with no other context, I've seen the meme, especially with no sound. If you watch the meme, it looks like he's giving the creature yeah, you know what I'm talking about. The Doctor bursts through the wall the others couldn't break through. So this creature has this weird thing of, I don't know, it seems to like create this kind of shell thing, this really hard material that cannot be broken through. The Doctor's behind that as he kind of gets like trampled over by the creature, and then this kind of shell appears. Everybody else is on the other side of that, trying to get through, trying to break through, but they can't. The Doctor then comes barging out, bursting through it from the other side, and they're like, how did you get through that? We couldn't get through with materials, and you've just like walked your way through. And he's like, well, the creature let me go through, you know? And it's this really interesting thing of, it's like this material that cannot be broken unless the creature allows you to break it, which is an interesting concept. The round dish is used so the creature can communicate. Now, I love that we figured out how to communicate with this creature. We had the whole scene with the Doctor trying to communicate with it, doing what he was doing, and it turns out that this creature could communicate. It had this big dish on its kind of stomach, I guess you could call it. It's not really got a stomach, but on its front, that allowed it to communicate and talk to people. But because it turns out that Lady Adastra actually found this creature in the past, and that's actually my next point. Lady Adastra tricked the creature and put it in the pit. She tricked it, put it in the pit, and she took its communication kind of device off it so it couldn't talk to people down there, so that when she, you know, threw people down there, it wouldn't then try and talk to them and, you know, try and get revenge on her. So I really like that we put this dish on there, and then the dish then actually, because it doesn't actually have like voice, it doesn't have a mouth, it doesn't have vocal cords, so it actually uses like whoever's touching the communicator, it uses their voice to talk to you, which I think is a really interesting concept. And it was really funny seeing, you know, this creature talking, but through the Doctor's voice, through Romana's voice, also through Lady Adastra's voice as well. Just thought it was really cool. The Doctor helps the creature fix its ship. So, yep, it turns out this creature, it kind of came to this planet to try and do some sort of deal or something. I can't 100% remember, but Lady Adastra basically didn't want to do this deal and threw it in the pit. But now, and it can't get back to its ship. They've managed to now winch it out of the pit, so it's now free, and the Doctor's going to fix its ship so that it can leave. However, there are other Tythonians, I think that's what they call the race of this creature, have sent a neutron star to destroy Chloris, because basically, you know, this creature who has a name, and I cannot remember, it's like Egron or Erog or something, I can't remember, but the creature, we're just going to call it the creature, because that's what I wrote it down as most of the episode, because we didn't know its name until pretty late on. Other versions of it, you know, a part of its species, have sent a neutron star to destroy the planet, because, yeah, they basically believe, and which is kind of true, that it went to this planet to try and make peace and try and make a deal with something, and either they've killed it or they've trapped it, so they're going to send us neutron star to destroy the planet. The TARDIS's gravity beam draws the star off course, saving Chloris and the creature. So when the Doctor figures out, all right, we can try and get this neutron star to not hit the planet, originally he's like, but, you know, the creature's probably going to die in this process, kind of get it to go towards the creature, I think is what they're saying. But he ends up managing to do it in the end, where he gets in the TARDIS, he uses the gravity beam from the TARDIS, draws the star off course, and then manages to get it to just go off in the distance. It doesn't hit the planet, it doesn't hit the creature. The creature can go off back to its planet, and the people of Chloris are safe as well. And I believe Lady Adrasta is killed, from what I remember. Pretty sure she gets killed. So she's dead. But there we have it. That is all my notes on The Creature from the Pit. You know what? I actually quite like this episode. I was not expecting a lot from this. A lot of episodes I've watched recently have been fairly poor. You know, I have kind of purposely watched all the higher regarded episodes first, so the last few episodes I have to watch aren't the highest rated. But this one actually surprised me. I don't know if it was just because I was in a good mood watching it or what it was. There wasn't really anything too bad about it. I mean, I didn't like K9's voice. That's a pretty minor thing. I can't really fault the episode for that. Lady Adrasta was a bit loud and obnoxious sometimes, so I didn't love that. The creature's design is pretty silly, and that whole scene is ridiculous. But other than that, I think what's going on here, the message of, you know, what the story's about, the plot and everything, I actually thought it was quite good. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10, which some people are probably going to say that's way too high to give this story. Maybe it's like a 7.5, but I don't think I'd give it less than a 7.5. I thought this episode was good. Like a 7 out of 10, it's not really the average score for me, but it's like an average story. But for me, like a 7 out of 10 is like, it's a good episode. It's nothing amazing, but it's a good episode. For me, this is an 8. I mean, I thought this was a really good one. Maybe on future viewings it won't be as good, but yeah, on that first viewing, did quite enjoy it. It's an 8 out of 10 for The Creature from the Pit. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.